All right. All right, Debbie.
So hi,
So
this is
there we go. Take it away.
this is Debbie Hopkins with Appteon. Appteon is an IT business. We do a lot of work with the federal government, many different departments, but we are also a U.S. Department of Labor registered apprenticeship intermediary. So we have dozens of clients around the country. Many of them are group sponsors, and we've got well over 150 employers in our portfolio of products. And one of the biggest issues that we have from a very small employer who's just starting to some of these large group sponsors is how to keep track of the funding, the sources, the requirements, how to report their data. This doesn't seem to fit in anything really existing well today, and it's quite a burden for our clients.
Yeah, and can you talk a little bit like what are some of the what do those sources look like specifically? Just a few examples of like, all right, where might the few different sources of funding be coming from? Like what kind of reporting examples
Yes.
might you have to deal with?
Yeah, so let's say that there's a group sponsor that has employers in 5 different states. Some of those are OA states, some of those are state apprenticeship agency states. You have to register your program in those states, even if you have a national program. Each one of those states has their own state expansion grant. They may have an H-1B funded apprenticeship grant. They all have WIOA. And there's intermediary funds from maybe a youth contract plus our contract. And so these sponsors can qualify for many of those, but each of them have different reporting requirements. They may have different things they cover. So some of these funding sources can pay for related instruction. Some can pay for on-the-job training. Many cannot pay for on-the-job training. Some can pay supportive services to the participant. Some cannot pay at all supportive services, no matter who it's paid to. So each one of these funding sources has a different criteria, and then depending on who the grantee or the state, you may have to provide data to that grantee in a different one format or another to collect the deliverables that they need for performance reporting on their grant. So it's quite complicated, and because the country still does not fund registered apprenticeship the way it is in other countries, our sponsors are forced to braid funding, trying to follow co-enrollment guidance as best they can.
Perfect. And Debbie, there's like making everything you described easier, but if you had a magic wand that you could fix the funding situation for apprenticeship programs, what do you think it would look like if you could wave a magic wand and fix this?
Well, we are on the advisory council for the Apprenticeship for America, and one of their recommendations, if it was pie in the sky, was to provide enough funding through the apprenticeship system itself, so that these sponsors would have enough funding. But assuming that that's not going to happen or happen anytime soon, some sort of universal, perhaps, software that anybody could use to braid these funds, to track apprentice progression, perhaps even a learning management system if they're controlling itself, but some sort of so that every single sponsor doesn't have to inefficiently develop stuff from scratch.
Perfect. Debbie, that was fantastic.